In a quiet, forgotten corner of an old city, there lived a man named Aron. He was a clockmaker, and his tiny, dusty shop ticked with the sound of 100 different hearts. To the people who visited, it seemed he repaired time itself, piece by meticulous piece. Every single morning, Aron's routine was as precise as the instruments on his workbench. He would polish gleaming brass gears, carefully adjust delicate springs, and listen intently to the unique rhythm of each and every clock. His life was a symphony of precision, a fortress of Camiet. It was a profoundly lonely existence. The years had slipped by just like the steady, relentless ticking that filled his days. 1 second at a time, unnoticed and uncherished. One rainy, windswept evening, as the city lights blurred outside his window, the small bell above his door chimed. A young woman stepped inside, her shoulders slumped, carrying a broken pocket watch, as if it were a wounded bird. "It belonged to my father," she said, her voice trembling just slightly, catching in her throat. "He passed away last month." Her grief was a tangible thing in the quiet air of the shop. Aron reached out and took the watch gently from her hands. Its glass face was fractured, a spider web of cracks obscuring the numbers, and its hands were frozen, forever stuck at 3:15. Looking into her pleading eyes, I felt an old, familiar. "I will restore it," he promised, his voice softer than he intended. As Aron worked late into the night, the city outside falling into a deep slumber, the familiar task of mending the small device began to feel different. The scent of oil and metal stirred something deep within him. He started to remember his own father, the man who had first placed these very tools into his small hands, the man who had taught him the secret language of clocks. But their time together had ended abruptly, before words of forgiveness and understanding could be shared. A profound realization washed over Aron. He had spent decades of his life meticulously fixing the gears and hands of clocks, yet he had never managed to mend the broken moments that truly mattered in his own life. The silence of his own past was deafening. The watch, it seemed, shared his stubbornness. It refused to work. No matter how many times he disassembled and reassembled its intricate parts, no matter how many times he adjusted the tiny, stubborn gears, they would jam, grinding to a halt. In a moment of pure frustration, he leaned close and whispered to the inanimate object, "Why won't you move?" His gaze drifted around the shop, across the hundreds of ticking, swinging, chiming clocks that lined the walls. For the first time, he didn't hear a symphony of precision. He heard a chorus of empty, passing seconds. He felt suddenly, crushingly small, a ghost in his own life. Maybe, he thought, his shoulders slumping in defeat. "I've been chasing the wrong kind of time all along." The next morning, Aron didn't rush to his workbench. Instead, he sat quietly in his old wooden chair, closed his eyes, and simply listened. He ignored the ticking of the 100 clocks around him and focused on a different rhythm to steady, quiet beat of his own heart. A sense of calm he hadn't felt in years settled over him. Then, with hands that were steady and patient, he tried again. This time, he didn't try to force the mechanism into submission. He sought to understand it, to feel its resistance, to work with it, not against it. And then, something shifted. A soft, almost imperceptible click echoed in the silent shop. The second hand, once frozen, began to move. It was slow, hesitant, but it was steady. It was alive. When the young woman returned a few days later, her expression was hopeful but guarded. Aron carefully placed the restored pocket watch into her open hands. It ticked softly, a gentle, rhythmic pulse against her palm. Tears welled in her eyes, spilling onto her cheeks. "It sounds just like it did when he was alive," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion and gratitude. A rare, genuine smile touched Aron's lips. "Then keep it close," he replied, his voice filled with a new warmth. "Time doesn't truly leave us, we just forget to listen for its melody." He wasn't just talking about the watch anymore. He was talking about the memories, the love, the echoes of a life well lived. After she left, leaving behind a profound sense of peace, Aron did something he hadn't done in weeks. He stepped outside his shop. The rain had passed, and the evening sky was a breathtaking canvas of gold and purple painted between the clouds. He began to walk through the winding city streets, not as a recluse, but as a participant. For the first time, he truly heard the city's heartbeat. The sound of distant laughter from a cafe, the melody of a street musician's violin, the vibrant, chaotic, beautiful rhythm of life itself. These were sounds more beautiful, more meaningful than any clock he had ever built. He was finally in sync with the world. Years spät, the old clockmaker grew slower, his hands not as nimble, but his heart grew lighter, and his smile was ever present. He became happier than he had ever been. People still came to his shop for repairs, their treasured timepieces in need of his expert touch. But now, they also came for advice. They came seeking his quiet wisdom. He would listen to their stories. Until them, a clock only measures time, it doesn't give it meaning. That part, my friend, is yours to create. He had learned that the true craft was not in mending gears, but in mending hearts, starting with his own. One crisp winter morning, the familiar ticking in the little shop fell silent. Aron's apprentice, who had learned so much more than just watchmaking from the old man, found the shop empty. But on the central workbench, a single, beautifully crafted clock sat alone. Its hands were turning gently, peacefully, and engraved on its polished brass face were 4 simple words: make every moment count. It was Aron's final gift, his last lesson. And in the heart of that old city, the clocks in his shop and all across the town kept ticking not as cold reminders of passing time, but as warm invitations to cherish the precious unfolding lives still living within it. If this story touched your heart, perhaps it's a small reminder to pause, take a deep breath, and cherish the moments that truly matter. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more tales that speak to the heart.